Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Every day we rise is a great day to be alive. Welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talks Morning Show. James M. Overton here, and here with co-hosts Leah Drake Stiff and Thomas the Colonel Chapman. Good Monday morning to you both.
Good Monday
Morning,
morning.
morning.
Yes, and for those who are watching, especially on YouTube, we advertise on YouTube that we will have Linwood Bubba Williams here to talk about his upcoming play, but we had technical difficulties in getting him on. So we're going to move him further down the week to Thursday evening. So stay tuned. Excuse me. Stay tuned for the advertisement or the promotion of that show. But we're looking forward to that. Homegrown Portsmouth native that is an author, director, producer, been doing plays for years, and upcoming plays coming in November. So we'll have him on Thursday to talk about that and some other things about how he got started. But anyway, how was your weekend, everybody?
Mine was
Oh,
great.
go ahead. On Colonel was great. Mine was great as well, Colonel.
Yeah,
Okay.
got lots of football on Saturday, lots of football on Sunday.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a
Yeah,
football weekend.
I saw something in the news this week, and I think it's we can start a conversation about that. And you might have seen it where these three juveniles were caught in London Oaks with well, I guess they were watching them, and the police saw them going in and out of an apartment in London Oaks. So they got a warrant to check that apartment out and found four guns,
Mm.
and two of them were had been transferred into machine guns. That and it takes some skill or knowledge or something to even do that. But and it had to be. I think it was one adult involved because that apartment couldn't have been owned by those juveniles. So one of the things we talk about, one of the problems is we have adults encouraging or giving these youngsters an opportunity to be in crime and to have them, taking those skills that they probably could have to turn guns into machine guns, to turn guns into killing machines.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something that should be worrying us all. But kudos to the police department that was on top of that. No telling where that could have gone. You know, and how many is out there like that. I'm sure it's all over in different pockets of Portsmouth. But I guess they're concentrating on the London Oaks area. And another piece of news: it's been Dale's home. It's been about seven shootings out there
Police in jail's home. Yes.
in Dale's home, and I think several of those people have succumbed to their wounds out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a hot area, and uh, I know something comments gonna come up later on about you know about that area and the concentration, especially when we have leadership talking about that's where they came from, and that's fine. But what are you doing? In your own neighborhood to
Yeah.
try to curtail some of this, and he might be doing something, but uh, I don't see it. But anyway, what about those youth with those guns? I mean, I guess you can go back to the '60s and '70s when you had the ghettos and most of that it was heroin at first that was brought into our neighborhoods and then later crack by outside people. And that sort of thing probably is still going on now because these guns are just not materializing in those areas. You got people bringing them in with intentions of just making money. It's
Mm.
all about the money.
Well, you know what? It's an old technique. They've been doing it for decades. The old guys, the old guard, recruits these young kids under 18, under 16, And then so if they get caught, they can go into the system under the juvenile system. They're not, theoretically they won't get long term. And the adult walks away because he has a buffer between him and the law. And so the other point is a lot of these guns can be turned from single shot into semi-automatic. So it's not really hard. You go on YouTube and go down to the hardware store, or you could buy the parts and and keep playing with it and to make it an automatic weapon. But if you're doing a crime, it's still the same if you got a weapon as far as semi-automatic or a single shot. You are still going to have a felony. So with this one apartment, they need to change, to tie that to that adult and lock him up and go after that adult, because he is sponsoring crime. You label him as sponsoring crime out there, and not to let him off the hook. But somebody owns it, or has paid the lease on that place.
Yeah, I think that lies the problem too. As privately owned, and just like we talked about the housing authority, some of the things they should be doing. And by the way, I've talked to Elisa,
Yes.
who was with the housing authority, and next month she's going to come on because the executive director that was there is no longer there. So she's going to come on next month and talk about the housing authority and what they're doing as far as London Oaks, it's privately owned, and hopefully they'll work with the police. Maybe they are, and maybe that's why it's being watched. But if that private company doesn't take actions, like you said, Colonel, and put people out of there that are probably whoever owned that apartment. Somebody had to be on lease for owning that apartment, so hopefully they'll go after them. But one of the things, those older men like you talk, they go to juveniles and convince them nothing's going to happen to you because you're underage. In a lot of cases, that's reality. A lot of those kids, they don't get time. Some of them do.
They're giving them time now. And they're sending them to juvenile facilities now. They don't get the time that probably an adult would get, but they are giving these kids time now. So they can't hide behind the fact that I'm underage anymore. So if you're caught with that weapon, and
but that's what they believe. If someone is convincing them that nothing's going to happen to you.
Yeah, and if they get prosecuted, that's another thing.
Yeah.
And they believe that until they get caught and like you said, if they get prosecuted.
It would be an interesting case study to see if the Commonwealth attorney can go back and say, there was this apartment or this place where, even though it's owned by this corporation and people are out of this one building or either this one apartment, and can we seize that and like we would do if I was running a drug ring out of a house, my own house, and then I seize the cars, I seize everything because it has ill-gotten goods for that place. And that would force the corporation to clean it up. So as I go in and catch one of these places and that apartment is no longer owned by them, I've permanently close that one down, and then I go to the next one and I close it. I start slowly taking this profit margin away from the corporation, forcing the corporation to go back and clean up their own act. That'd be an interesting case study, and just to even just do it. And so corporation who owns the apartments can no longer rent out of that, and we'll fight you in court, but it'll be years by the time we get to you, and we cut that money piece off of you, and then we're going to do that to the next place and the next place until you clean it up, corporation.
Yeah, whatever it is legally you can do. I guess hopefully we can have somebody on here to tell us how that goes. I know in some private businesses, and if they're in a community and people complain about the people hanging out there, and the police have come to our civic league and told us they can't do anything, if those people are not breaking any laws, but we know what they're doing out there,
Mhm.
unless the owners of those businesses, either put up a no trespassing sign, or they tell the police, look, we don't want these people out here, but if they don't complain about the people hanging out, it's nothing they can really do until the police can, until they catch them doing a crime. But we ride by and see what they're doing and we
Exactly.
report it, but still, by the time the police get there, they're not doing anything illegal. But those owners of those businesses can help us out in the communities by not allowing them to hang out. But to them, that's taken away from their money. I think
Well,
Mm.
they don't care about the community because they don't live in the community.
yeah.
Many
They
of them
just
live in the city.
yeah, they live in another city in most
Mhm.
cases. And so they just come here and set up their business in the community and suck the community dry. And they don't care about it, all the other activities going on around them, long as it doesn't affect them and doesn't affect their bottom line. So,
Well, think of this as a theory. I gave you the theory of they seizing property and then selling it off because of you've gained wealth and money from ill-gotten goods. So that corporation, in theory, who has been notified that a drug ring is coming out of so many of your apartments, so many of your establishments. So now you know that they are gaining money from illegal actions out of their establishments. City attorney gets together, maybe even go with the feds. Now, instead of just seizing that one apartment, seize the whole establishment and take it away from the corporation. The whole thing, all
yeah,
those apartments, and shut
I
it
think they have that ability, but it's just a matter of proof, and it has to go through the system, has to go through the Commonwealth Attorney's office and all that,
yeah, but
and they have to have the
yeah,
solid proof to be able to do that. Because I think they probably would have done a lot. They did a lot of that some years ago. It
mhm.
was a combination of the sheriff department, Leah, and the police department and the FBI. They went through Portsmouth and closed down businesses, arrested people because they sat on it for a while and they had the proof. And when it went through the court system, the court system was favorable, and all those people got prosecuted.
Yep. But you got to go after the corporation
That's
because
I'm
you want to get proof because I'm notifying you. I got a letter
Mhm.
saying some crime is being out of this apartment, this and that, and I'm setting the stage and see what they say. Set it up, and then let them fight it in court. But as I cut you off from your money for the years that it's going to fight in court, and uh, that's just a theory that I'm just thinking of. I got to go after the corporation, but I will digress and hit on the piece that Dale's home. And when you said some politicians talk the game, I don't know who you're referring to that talk the game, and we want to know what politician says I'm from there, and we know who he is, who has done nothing, absolutely zero, to correct the problems out there at Dale's home, even though he says I'm from Dale's home, other than take selfies and get thrown out of city council meetings. And he knows who he is, which I don't even want to say his name because it aches me to say that the Commonwealth, the people of Portsmouth put him in office
Mm.
that he is unqualified to do, that does nothing for the citizens of the people that he's put in, that he is just a figurehead, not even a figurehead. He's nothing, nothing.
yeah, and I stopped short of that because I can't say that he's done nothing. I can't say that for sure and back it up. All I can say is that the city council, which they did, vote to put together a commission, a city commission on crime. Um, I just hope there's something that can be effective or that they will pay attention to, and they have the right people on that.
Commission.
What happened to the initiative that they were putting forth where they were supposed to have some FBI agents to come in, the state was supposed to send someone, and they were supposed to form this coalition to address the issue of crime enforcement? That the Attorney General came to Portsmouth, talked the mean game, but we've seen nothing as a result of that. Have you heard anything in reference to it at all?
Zero. When you put a commission out there, it's the same thing as I'm gonna do a study commission or a study group to study a problem. Meaning I am going to kick it down the road. Sounds good, but does nothing. There's no actionable pieces there. I am going to put a report together that will lie in state at the city library somewhere down there, and it'll be a nice graduate study of something that's nothing is going to happen. And to answer your question, Slim, if you did another study, you can ask, have I put any proposals together in front of the broader city council to address this crime down at this one where I'm from, Dale's Home? Have I done anything to bring any jobs down to my constituents down at Dale's Home? Now, that would be an interesting case study. And I bet you if you said that, or if you studied that piece, you would find out the only thing that I've done for Dale's Home is a take to get their kids to go and sign up for my basketball team and charge those parents that money. I rest my case.
But I think that study that Leah that you were part of addressed all of that, and it's not just for one area; it's just for the whole city. And you being a part of that committee, I think you were just as dumbfounded as we are. What happened to the results? Because a presentation was given. Was it a year-long study that you all did?
Mm-hmm.
And a study that didn't have to come out of the city's money. It was funded by some other millionaire.
Bloomberg study.
Bloomberg study.
I know they sent out an email last week that that they were going to resume so that they can finalize what was done during the study. So I guess we should be hearing something from them soon as far as when the group will meet again in order to get everything finalized that was presented to the city council and the city at large. So we should be hearing something soon from them.
So the report that was given to the city, that wasn't the final
No, that wasn't the
results of the year-long meetings that y'all had?
I was giving them the preliminary as to what was found, and then they have to come back to finalize it, to put those things that we found into place. So I understand, like I said, I got an email about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, stating that they were going to resume to put the final product into place.
Well, you have put the stamp of approval on what I just said. Another study group, another commission with no teeth, unless you put somebody, an actionable person behind that's going to be responsible for what's in this study or whatever. It is when Liam, when y'all get done and Bloomberg financed all this and all this work is done, half of the people that need to read it will not have read it. Some of the people that will get it don't have the bandwidth to understand it and really don't care. And then so the new study group that they're going to have, the new commission, is just kicking it down the road because they have to appear Remember what I said, have to appear that I'm doing something. So they'll be on the campaign trail saying, well, I got up here and said that we're going to do a commission and we're studying the problem. But what have you done? And that's the same thing that Leah just pointed out. When this attorney general came down saying, I'm going to do all this, do that. This Confederate governor says, I'm going to be tough on crime. But have you seen any grants come down? The big money grants that they are responsible for to come down here and give to the police department or the sheriff's department or any of the other things to help with this crime? No.
Well, I know I look forward to whatever final study or whatever final results come from your Bloomberg study, because for one reason, because of the people that they had on there, as opposed to whatever other groups they've had before. They had, people in different areas of mental health, and I mean, the different people they had on that committee. I would really trust what comes from that, because if they had the diverse people that they had on that group of professionals, people from the community, people from the school system, every area, which was lacking in some other groups that were put together, that was more like a favoritism. And the reason I sort of favor the permanent commission, just putting together a task force, they could meet every 6 months. A mandate has to meet every month, and has to have the right people on there. And if those people are not effective, they can be removed. And hopefully that will be something that could help as well. I hope that they'll take that information from the Bloomberg study and start with that as a commission. We have yet to see who they are going to appoint to that commission, and they approved it. And hopefully they'll listen to the people that stood up before them and told them who needs to be on that commission.
Who needs
Probably
to
no council people, maybe liaison.
No politicians.
No politicians.
Just regular folks.
Yeah, you got to have something actionable. And so, like you say, Slim, it'll be an interesting reading for those who can read it on city council. It'll be interesting reading, but you have to have an actionable point. You can study, like you said, you can have set it up. I'm going to come this commission or whatever, come about once a quarter. If they don't have any teeth, let them go down to McDonald's and meet, because it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do a thing. You got to have teeth, and you got to have a POC. I mean, a point of contract contest that person is responsible for coordinate the efforts to make these changes in society or in the system. Without it, all you do is study it, and you can study it till the cows come home.
And one thing we have to also look at is the fact that somehow parents are going to have to held accountable. Many parents know what these kids have in their homes. They know that these kids have guns. They know that these kids are bringing money into the home, which they know they don't have a job. And parents are just going to have to start speaking up and speaking out. Neighbors are going to have to start. It can't be just the police. Citizens are going to have to play an active role. You see something, say something. We're going to have to get more of that, more citizen involved. I know more people are afraid to get involved, afraid of retaliation, but there are means for you to share what you know without your being identified. So more of the citizens are going to have to speak up in order to eradicate some of this crime that we're having in the community as well. Parents and community members need to speak up.
Yeah, it's so many things that play into this, and being something, finding some kind of solutions to this. That's why it's so frustrating to people when they sit up there and see these arguments and long conversations over something that we might consider petty, when all this stuff is going on around us, job creation and all that comes into play when you're trying to solve the issues of crime, the mental health piece, the job creations. And now, if that's going on, we don't know it as citizens. I mean, we don't see a lot of that. All we see is when somebody comes down there. I saw the lady that's doing something at the famous. We had a group on here on our show and talking about what they were going to do there. But I don't know if that, well, evidently didn't go through, but somebody else is coming through now. And she's, they spent like $1 million to purchase it, and it's going to take another $1 million to get it to the point where they want it. And a lot of the questions were, the entertainment. They were worried. Had citizens and some of the council members worried about what kind of entertainment there. Because of past things, and the only thing they're going to have is a banquet facility, upscale banquet facilities for wedding receptions and things like that. Not a club, but that's the first thing people think about. So that's why some people get run away as far as it wants to come in here and do business, because we have people up there questioning after it's already gone through the planning commission and they examine it and they recommend approval. Then we have to sit down and critique every little thing about the business. And it's no wonder that some people walk away. I don't know if that happened to that last group, that they were nitpicked so much that they said it wasn't worth it, or it just didn't make sense, the deal they had. But hopefully this lady, she's, you know who I'm talking about, Leah? Reddick? Her last name is
it Reddick?
Yes. She has successful business in Norfolk, and she's bringing their whole operation here to Portsmouth. And it's mostly to be an advantage for women in business on one floor. And
I know you're talking about.
yeah,
Yes.
Dr. Reddick.
Dr. Reddick, yes.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully she can come here. I think the more that we can start getting young people engaged at an early age, hopefully we would catch some of these kids who may get caught up in not having anything to do, and therefore they're recruited by those in the community who are not doing the right things. So hopefully there will be more opportunities for young people, whereby they can see a future. Right now, kids can't see a future in Portsmouth. They don't see where they're going to be successful, and therefore it's easy to recruit them into some of these gangs, so-called quote gangs that they have. So I see that at least the public school system is trying to make a change and starting the CTE programs. We know that Big Homie's program is going well. He's engaging the kids. He's getting kids from various communities who are coming out. They're playing together. They're learning together. And that has been our problem in Portsmouth, has been Brighton against Prentice Park against Douglas Park against Dale's Homes. So hopefully with him being able to engage these children from the different communities, starting them at an early age, coming together, playing together, learning together. The CTE programs, prayerfully, that'll get kids to see that a lot of kids can't just sit down and do the day-to-day lessons. But if they can see that they can get a job, which they can make some money, it may make a difference. It may make a difference. And all we can do is hope now, so.
When you brought up the part about different communities against each other, it's always kind of been that way, even when we were coming up.
Exactly.
But one of the things that, and we talk about, how integration might have disturbed some things in our communities. One of the things, we had all these communities that might not favor each other at certain times. But when they went to Norcom, everybody was there at the same place. And then you end up making a friend to somebody in Newtown. You end up making a friend to somebody in Cavalier Manor. So
Exactly.
you didn't, it got bad sometime, but not not like it is now, like
No.
all out war,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's one of those things. If you think back, it's never going to go back to that. That
Mm-hmm.
where integration really hurt us, and then all of a sudden we all we go into school. We're not even going to school together, and getting a chance to interact with each other because you got the church and school out there. You got you know Manor, and then you got
Uh-huh.
Norton. And
Uh-huh.
it's more like community schools.
Mm-hmm.
So those children never get a chance to really interact like we did when
Interact
we were
with each
coming up
other.
at Northam. I mean, it was people from all over the city, and
Mm-hmm.
you got a chance to meet somebody. So they're not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
You just heard the reputation. Oh, you don't want to mess with anybody from Newtown. All of
Mm-hmm.
them are bad. But then you found
But
out different.
but plus, James, we also had parents who held us accountable
Yep.
Yeah,
for our actions. You know.
Yep.
yeah. I was going to say that because those guys that recruit those juveniles, they don't all of a sudden turn cold. Some of them come out of their house like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to recruit them and get them and say, hey, this is the best way when they already was not given any hope coming out of their house.
Exactly.
Or they're seeing that same kind of activity going on in their house. So
Mm-hmm.
that's their way of life. And by the time they get to of age where guys are recruiting them to do these things, they're already part of that life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They've been exposed at an early
They've
age.
already been exposed to that part of
That's
life.
true.
And
Yep.
that's why good big homies and groups like that are catching those kids younger. It's just you can't catch them all.
That's very true.
That is true. That's true. And
But the
they're
more
when
that
you
we can
catch them when they're
kind, just like the
impressionable.
starfish on the beach, the more that we can save, the better off that we are. You know,
Yes,
so we have to start somewhere in
Mm-hmm.
looking at ways in which we can address the needs of these young people.
Yes. The youth are impressionable, especially a certain segment that where they come from, especially those kids that don't have strong family background or at
Exactly.
home.
Exactly.
And then those are the ones that are at risk. And so groups have to come out and uh, touch those kids and catch them
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, there's a better way. Because what you see out here for these guys that are out there saying, yeah, that easy money is not long-term money. And you have to take long term. What do you want to do with your life rather than, or do you want to try to out here being like him? You're seeing he's hustling and he's 45
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and got nothing to show for it other than maybe a 15-year-old BMW or Mercedes that's got Earl Shy paint job on it,
yeah.
but he's flashing it.
That's why, Leah, you mentioned that CTE program is going to be so important because
So
during the
important.
days when they had it back in the day, it was guys and some girls that probably would have gone a different way if they didn't have the opportunity to get that trade. And then
Exactly.
those same people out there got that trade and end up as adults making just as much as a college
If
grad,
not more. If not
if not
more.
more. But
More,
if that opportunity, they might not have excelled in the classroom, and it wasn't like they couldn't do it, but that just wasn't something that held their interest.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes people came from homes, like you, an older brother, and you got five sisters or five siblings under you. You almost taking care of them,
mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and it's not always because your parents were lazy or anything, but they had to work to
Mm-hmm.
provide for the family. So then your responsibility was taking care of your siblings while your parents were working,
Mm-hmm.
You
and
still
so
have
you
to have
didn't have
that
time.
going on.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is still taking place.
Yes.
We also have a problem with a lot of homeless children in the school system. And I mean, there's so many areas and so many needs that the kids have that needs to be addressed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I, and I just don't know in which direction we're headed. But like I said, I hope that the CTE programs and more programs spring up like the one that Big Homie has, that get the kids engaged at an early age, get them involved, let them meet each other, know each other. And as you said, James, as we did back in the day, you know the person, so You know, it's okay. It's okay for me to talk to somebody from Dale's home, Prentice Park, or whatever. You know, so prayerfully we'll get more of those programs going in the city of Portsmouth. We have to do something because
Yeah.
the killings are not ending, and I know it's not all juveniles who are doing the killings either. So something needs to be addressed with these adults as well,
With adults as well. Yeah, yeah.
involved in these killings in the streets of Portsmouth.
Well, you know
And,
what? Yeah.
Especially the adults, because those adults have children, and like I said earlier, they're probably seeing that kind of behavior as something that they're growing up into, and it's normal life for them. And then they grow up learning how to survive the streets.
exactly. What do I need to do in order to survive? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
It's not only the killings. The killings is just an end fact, a end of what happened in that crime, but it's the constant fear when you walk down the street or you're driving your car through certain neighborhoods or certain parts. It's that fear that is even worse than the killings. That a crime that uh, when my spouse or a loved one's walking down the street and you got to worry about getting your pocketbook snatched or you getting mugged, but in that hyper vigilance because of the fear of crime happening to you, it's even worse than the piece of being murdered out here.
Mm-hmm.
That's even worse because fear affects everybody.
Mm-hmm.
and Leah, remember when we were welcoming the students back at Norcom, and they were getting off the bus that morning. I know it was the first day of school, and not everybody's going to be happy about that. But as I was standing there looking at all those kids getting off the bus, some of them had looks on their face, and I know, like I said, it had something to do. Well, I'm sure it wasn't ready for school yet. The summer went by so fast. But I was thinking to myself, how many of these kids getting off this bus are coming from something, you know, that we have no idea
Exactly. And
of
that's
what they're
the
coming from,
problem.
and
Yeah.
school is their sanction.
It's
Coming to
that's
school
right. You know,
is their
I mean,
getaway
kids today are
or to
exposed.
get a meal,
Exactly. Exactly. A safe place
a
for a
safe
lot of
place.
kids. A safe place.
And that's
You
why I
know.
was glad that the superintendent said during our show, and he said during his presentation to the council, and they tried to, question him. Well, anyway, I'm not going to go there. But he said that the schools, whatever they do, the schools, they're not there all day. So the schools are open for whatever you all want to do, after school hours to have something for these children to do. So it's not the schools not offering the opportunities for people to come, because all the elementary schools have gymnasiums now, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and have spaces for people to come and get them off the street, especially when the winter months come.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I want to comment on something that Carol Sanders just wrote. He says, I was at a soccer game the other day, and this 3-year-old boy was walking around telling everyone he was a gangster like his daddy. Daddy was there, grill in, and not minding the kid. The kid took a toy from my kid, and my wife took the toy back from that kid. And then he threatened to kill my wife. I mean, 3-year-old.
The 3-year-old threatened to kill his wife.
Yes. So here you have a parent that's raising a young 3-year-old to be a gangster. And what I just talked about, the fear. And we're bringing up we have an adult gangster, alleged gangster out there and raising another would-be gangster. What is wrong with that picture?
Yeah.
What is wrong with that picture? What is wrong with society when that is allowed to be out here?
Well, Colonel, we're at that place now where we have youngsters who are raising kids.
Yes.
People who have not grown up themselves, not much older. These guys are having these babies at such an early age.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever parented them, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what it is to be a parent. The kid becomes like their little toy almost, you know, never given any directions. And that, you know, we have a lot of that now, a lot of kids raising kids.
Yeah.
And no generation's ever being parented. So it puts everything in a different place now. Um, we were blessed to have parents who
Yeah.
parent, you know, but you don't have that anymore. Some of the parents are worse than the kids, you know,
Yeah.
and can't show any direction for the kids because you're doing the very same thing you can't tell the kids not to do because the kids are watching you. You know,
Yeah.
I often tell parents you don't have to say anything to kids. Kids are not listening to the words that come out of your mouth. They're watching the actions. They're watching what you do. And that determines what they believe, not the words that you say to them. So if you're displaying behaviors that are unbecoming, those are the behaviors the kids are going to emulate, and that's the way they're going to become. So I
Yeah.
don't know what we do about these kids raising kids, but I guess that's another area that needs. There used to be those fatherhood programs going on. I guess they're still going on. But then if the programs are going on, how do you get them engaged to even participate?
Yeah. And especially if you have like this, Carol was talking about, even what do you do when you have bad parents?
Yeah.
Just bad parents that are raising bad kids, and they make it bad for everybody because even a law-abiding citizen that wants to do right, that bad parent and that bad kid taints everybody. Taints everybody.
And you know, while we're talking about crime too, it's getting dark early, ladies. Be careful with these pocketbooks and be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you're paying attention as you move out as it gets dark. Take your eyes off your phone. Be prepared to get into your cars. Check your cars out before you get into your cars.
And
I got a
even
call.
approaching your own home, even
Exactly.
approaching your own home.
Even approaching our home. I got a call yesterday about a young lady who was going to her car, and two young men walked up on her and asked her for money, took her pocketbook, started throwing the items out of her pocketbook onto the ground, looking for money. She said she didn't have any money. Um, they then took her keys and took the car and left. So you got to be careful. You got to watch. You know, we're so busy on our cell phones today. We don't pay attention when we're outdoors. We don't pay attention to what's around us. We don't look around our cars when we're getting into our cars, coming out of the store with packages in our hands. There's so many things we need to be. You have to be more aware of what's around you now than ever before.
And that goes for men too, because sometimes we try to be heroes, and if the odds are against you, or you don't know if these whoever's walking up on you has something that might take your life, just think about it's people depending on you. So you want to go home safe too. So give it up, and it's the men think oh, nothing's going to happen to me, but you better be aware of your surroundings too, because you are more of a target than the women, because they're going to figure you have more of the money on you.
Yeah.
And or that credit card or that debit card. So don't try to be a hero unless, I'm not going to say don't protect you, not to protect your family, but don't try to be a hero
Yeah.
and do something crazy where you might be taken away from that very family you're trying to protect.
That's true. I always say I'm always hyper vigilant. Two guys
Yeah.
walk to me when I'm getting in my car. I always think, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
And then I need to either walk away, or either I got to handle my stuff and says, if they come out and something go wrong, I hate to say, can I get the headshot off?
Mhm. And
Okay.
that's where you were trained, sir.
Yeah. Because the first one goes down is a headshot.
And since you mentioned that, Colonel, I mean, is it still? I think we talked about this before, and you said the military is different now. Military used to be really a savior for. I know a lot of people from the neighborhoods. Those guys will tell you now, if it hadn't have been for the military,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
you know, or some programs, I can't think of the name of them, but the military, and you don't have to go. You can go in. Like a friend of mine's, he didn't go in full time, but he went in. What do you
Reserve,
call it, Colonel? Where you
reserve.
More than like in the reserves.
in reserves, and you
Uh-huh.
can do the reserves and still carry on your life and do the reserve for 20 years and come out with the same kind
Mm-hmm.
of benefits.
Yep.
Uh, is the opportunities more for the reserves than the active duty?
Well, I wouldn't say the word more, but the reserves is a viable way to do 20 years and you'll be eligible for retirement and healthcare benefits for you and your family for the rest of your life,
Mm-hmm.
which is more than, actually, it's worth more than your retirement check.
And if you get called up, you can't lose. They can't replace
They can't
your
replace.
job.
Yeah, and then just having that veteran status, because that veteran status gets you in the door. It opens a lot of doors that were previously closed to us, and so it is a great way to go. And then also when you go to your basic training in AIT, whatever, you get all this job training, and it also exposes you to a different segment, what I call the salad bowl of America, meaning all the nationalities and all these thoughts and different people into one place, and you're taught something that you won't be taught, because if you just lived in your one city and the only thing you knew is that one block or several blocks there, you're taught that there's a greater society out here. There's difference of thought and patterns and people, how they interact with people. You are taught that, and you're given a piece that, yes, I am part of a group that is bigger than myself, and that is what is taught. And you don't get that out here in the street.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get it out in
Yeah,
the street.
but you even have to prepare yourself for that. You can't go out here and do everything you want to do and have felonies over your head and things like that and say, well, let me go into the service now, because they're not going to let you in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Am I correct?
yeah.
So you still have to, try to walk a straight line
Mm-hmm.
before you do that. But that opportunity is there for you.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
am.
don't have to be walking the streets and trying to figure out how can I make some fast money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I look at myself and that says, that's probably one of the biggest, the best things I ever did. I joined right after high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then had the OGI bill that allowed me to do my time, got out, and it paid for my Norfolk State education, and it also paid for my Hampton education, which allowed me to have a great career to go back. And I decided to go back in for another 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And which allowed me in service to get a couple masters that was paid for by Uncle Sugar, allowed me to go around the world and visit different places and live in different places across the world. And there's negatives and positives for the deployments and stuff like that, but that was all part of the job, and it paid off in the long run. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do just the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's negative and positive to everything, but being out there in the streets is nothing but negative.
Yep, yep, yep. Can't win that.
If any of those people that been in the streets, if they can tell you any positive thing about it,
Yeah,
that survived the streets, I don't think anyone can come up with anything positive about it except for the moment.
yeah. My dad always said there are no retired drug dealers because there are no pensions for a drug dealer. They're just waiting to be caught or killed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we had that conversation. We just wanted to talk a little bit about since we didn't have our Our guest couldn't get on today, but stay tuned for him to be on this Thursday. And it's always something to talk about locally or nationally. You know, when we come on here, let me see, Leah.
Yeah, she dropped off.
For some reason, I got kicked off.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I was
is
listening. But I was
Facebook still
listening.
messing with you?
Huh?
Facebook still messing with you?
No, they finally let me back on. So I still don't know what I did wrong in order to get thrown off. But
Yeah,
um,
I saw somebody the other day said they were thrown off for 24 hours and can't figure out what it was. It
at
was
least they
they said they told her she made too many posts, and I never heard anything like that. You know, I didn't know they had
a
a
limit on the
limit of
number
how
of
many
votes.
posts you can make.
Yeah. Yeah, that was purely crazy. And like I said, and still not to know why. At
Mm,
least if they kick you off, they should tell you why you've been kicked off.
yep.
So
Mm,
maybe that's a suggestion that we can make to them.
yep.
Yeah, well, they're good for that. They don't tell you anything. They give you strikes and then tell you can fight it. But what am I fighting here? You know, I mean, what?
Exactly. Tell me what it is. Let me know.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they just have people that sit there and that's all they do all day and go after people. And you see crazy posts from other
And,
people and
and,
say,
and
"Wow,
nothing
these
and
people
nothing
still up
happens to
there."
them. And
Yep.
nothing happens to them, you
Yeah,
know? So I don't know. I'm back on. I'm back on for the moment.
Hmm.
yeah. Well,
I don't know how long, but anyway, I'm
well,
back on for the moment.
it's about that time for us to wind down anyway. We had the conversation about what's going on today, especially here in our city here. And
Hmm.
you know, when we talk about Portsmouth, it's pretty much because uh, all of us are from Portsmouth, or we lived in Portsmouth one time. But you know, actually, our co-hosts are from Chesapeake and Suffolk as well. So
Hmm.
whatever Portsmouth just happens to be. You know, Portsmouth Coffee Talk happens to be the topic, but it's sort of the same in just about all the cities, and we're finding that out more by having people from Virginia Beach come on here and tell us how well we kind of knew what was going on there, how they hide a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
but they're
Yeah,
having the same issues, you
Yes.
know, with their city councils, with crime, that we are. But we get most of the press.
Yes.
yes, yes. But
Yes.
James, before we go, we know that this is homecoming week for IC Norcom High School, and there are a lot of activities that will be taking place at the school this week. On Tuesday night, we have the alumni volleyball game, but it's senior night for our girls and boys who play volleyball. The girls and boys games will start at 6:30 girls at 6:30, the boys at 8, and the
Yep.
alumni game will be at 9 p.m. I'm sure that they're still getting volunteers. James and the Colonel, if y'all want to play volleyball, and the alumni volleyball game on Tuesday night is available. On Wednesday, we have alumni flag football at the Joe Langston Stadium, and that would take place at 7 p.m. That's alumni flag football. Girls and women and men can play in the flag football game on 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we have our football game, the JV football game, which is going to be at the Powhatan Stadiums. But on Friday, we're going to have the old school pep rally and alumni basketball game in the main gymnasium, and that's at 7 p.m. Now, remember, people, they are cashless. So, therefore, if you need tickets, you need to go to GoFan. GoFan and purchase your tickets for these events. And
So, what's the fee for each event?
I
Do
know
you
that
know?
Friday night, the old school pep rally is $10. So I'm not sure. It's between 5 and 10.
Mm.
5 and 10. But I know the pep rally is $10 on Friday night. And we're gonna get some old school cheerleaders out there and we're gonna cheer with the cheers that we understand and we can shoo wally wally while we're out there on Friday night. Saturday morning at 9 o'clock is the parade, the homecoming parade. 2 o'clock is the game against Granby High School. And of course, tailgating will start right after the parade. on the grounds of IC Norcom High School. Also at 6 p.m., we're going to have a memorial service for Bob Triplett, the Peanut Man, who was on High Street, a man with double amputee due to infection, but he sold peanuts to raise money in order to fund education, give scholarships to students in the city of Portsmouth. So that's the activities going on this week for the IC Norcom Homecoming Week.
So activities all week, and make sure when you share this with other people, make sure you let them know it's cashless. I got caught up like that at a basketball game. Went there and wanted to pay, and didn't know that they no longer accept any cash for any of the activities that go on. And I think that's at all the schools, right?
Yeah,
Am
I think
correct?
it is incorporated now. But then go to GoFan. Go to GoFan.
Yeah, if
And
you forget, you can stand right there and go. But it's good if you have it in advance and you just go there and show that you bought a ticket. But support these activities, especially the well, I'll say non-traditional activities like the volleyball and the flag football. And last year, one of my classmates from '72 was playing basketball. I don't know how he did it, but but he ran up and down the floor a couple of times and needed oxygen. But but I had to applaud him for getting out there and doing that. So
yes.
but support these activities all week. It's like a college atmosphere. Usually college homecoming start early in that week and go throughout the week. And I think that's kind of unique as far as high schools are concerned for Norcom to have something going on all week and helps raise funds. And the funds that you pay help pay for those things that these teams need outside of what they're actually funded for. There's some needs that they really need. So that's where the funds go to if you're wondering these funds and support the volleyball. Once you go to a volleyball game, you'll probably enjoy it. As a matter of fact, that's something Wilt Chamberlain did professionally after his basketball career. So
and
it might be something I want to do. I don't know.
Exactly. And most of these athletic activities are underfunded. So they have to raise money in order to get some of the items that
Just
they need.
get some of the basic things.
Just the basic things that they need. So support the school, support the activities at the school.
And support your school as well. If you go to I think Churchland's already had their homecoming, or Manor has.
I don't know if Manor has. I know Churchland had their homecoming.
Okay, but support your other schools as well. We talk a lot about Norcom, but support the schools you went to as well. The kids need your support.
Yeah, because
Western Branch and those schools in Chesapeake and stuff.
And Churchland won that game in that last minute of the game for homecoming, so that was a good one. So,
why they have to be against us?
That
was against us, right?
No. That's their homecoming. Their homecoming game.
Oh, okay.
Their homecoming.
They beat us the week before.
Last Friday. This past Friday. Yeah.
Well, we didn't lose last weekend.
Because we didn't play. We had a bye last weekend. We had a bye.
All right. Thank you, co-host. I appreciate your conversation today and look forward to Thursday. And I'll set it up.
Hopefully Linwood can get on Thursday. He had difficulty getting on this morning. So prayerfully Thursday he'll be able to get on. So
all right. Well, we'll set it up for him.
Okay.
Well, y'all be safe. Be safe out there.
Take care. Be safe.
Yeah.
Okay.